Hey there, HHD students. My name is Andy. I'm a VC Health and Human Development teacher. In this short video, we're going to look at answering 2 mark versus 3 mark questions in the VC HHD exam. So at the moment, you're probably completing trial exams in the lead up to the HHD exam this year. And what you might be finding in those trial exams is the extended response questions, that's the 8 to 10 mark questions, are often quite challenging. And so that's no surprise because these questions are typically the most challenging and lowest scoring for students in the end of year HHD exam. So I'm running a session on October 10th from 5 till 6:15 p.m. to help students to try to master these extended response questions as we head to the HHD exam this year. So what you'll get by registering for this session is you'll get sent 2 extended response questions to practice in the lead up to the session. And during this session, I'll be going through a PDF document that has advice on analyzing sources, breaking down the question, and structuring a response to hopefully help you to maximize your marks in this question in the end of year exam. After the session, you'll get sent the PDF document as well as some additional extended response questions you can practice in the lead up to the exam this year. So as I said, that's the final session I'm running this year on extended response on October the 10th from 5 till 6:15 p.m. You can head to this try booking link here or just head to our website, the hrh.net.au, or just Google the Health Resources Hub, and you'll also find a link to the try booking page to sign up for that session. So why in this video are we looking at answering 2 mark versus 3 mark questions in the HHD exam? Well, the reason really is that I've noticed, okay, over the years as a HHD exam marker, as well as marking trial exams for my students, that students often perform more poorly in 3 mark questions versus 2 mark questions. And so hopefully this video will help you if there are 3 mark questions in your trial exams and the HHD exam this year to maximize your marks in these questions. So you can see here, I've included a bit of data from 2023 and 2022, which each had 3 mark questions in the exam, to have a look at the average. And so you'll see here for 2023, the average was under 50%, and that was the same in 2022. Whereas if you look at 2 mark questions in 2023 and 2022, the average was over 50% for these questions. And so obviously you can find some 2 mark questions where students don't do as well as this, but I would say on average, typically students perform more poorly in 3 mark questions compared to 2 mark questions. And some of this information here, I think, supports that. So what might be some reasons why students are performing more poorly in 3 mark versus 2 mark questions? These are a couple of things that I think I have sort of pondered and come up with over time. And so I think sometimes it might be easier for students to determine the 2 points or sentences that are required in a 2 mark question compared to perhaps the 3 points that are required in a 3 mark question. And often I think that students might be more likely to treat 3 mark questions like 2 mark questions, as they do often appear quite similar. But obviously, more depth is required in 3 mark responses. And so this is something that we'll have a think about here. So this is a question from 2022 that was worth 3 marks, but I think you could also look at this question and think about a time where it could perhaps be worth 2 marks. And so this might sort of back up what I was saying in the last slide, where some students might go about answering a question like this, okay, but really answer it in a manner that really would only achieve them around 2 marks instead of 3. So you can see this question here is asking you to outline and justify one way of taking social action to achieve SDG 1, no poverty. So it's worth 3 marks, but you can imagine a student looking at this and thinking, okay, it's an outline and a justify. So there will sort of be, okay, one sentence might outline, one sentence might justify, and that might then only end up getting them around 2 marks instead of 3. And so when you look at these questions here that are worth 3 marks, I think it's worth breaking down, okay, the question and thinking about where are the marks likely to be allocated. So for a question like this, you can probably think that 1 mark is probably going to be linked to outlining your social action, but perhaps there would be 2 marks that are more likely going to be linked to including more depth in your justification and your linking into SDG 1, no poverty. So by kind of breaking the question down like that, it can give you a bit of a framework for thinking about what's the part of my answer where I need to go into a bit more detail to try to ensure that I get sort of that additional mark to ensure I achieve 3 marks instead of perhaps 2 marks. So you can see what I've done down here is just giving you an example of a high scoring response, okay, from the examiner's report that was linked to this question. And so you can see they started there by talking about an example of taking social action, so donating to an NGO. So they gave an example like World Vision to help it continue its work in poverty reduction. So that would perhaps be the 1 mark there. And then they've really fleshed out okay, the next part of their answer here to ensure that they've got those additional 2 marks. So the way that they've linked it into SDG 1 is they've talked about how an individual could help to fund, okay, the programs that the NGO might run, and that might be teaching farmers in low-income countries about sustainable agricultural techniques. And those techniques might then allow the farmers to grow crops in all seasons and generate an income, okay, so they can earn more than $1.90 a day, regardless of what time of the year. So knowing that that sort of $1.90 a day links into a key feature of no poverty is important. So then they went on to talk about how donating to NGOs enables them to expand and continue to implement their programs and supports the ending of extreme poverty, which once again is a feature of SDG 1. So you can almost think about sort of linking into two sort of features of SDG 1 no poverty to try to help ensure you achieve those sort of extra 2 marks in that justification section there of your answer. So really fleshing that out. So I guess what I'm sort of saying is that you might want to think about 3 mark questions almost like 4 mark questions instead of 2 mark questions to help ensure that you're really thinking about fleshing out your sort of response to try to ensure you achieve those additional marks to get that sort of 3 marks. Okay, hopefully you found that useful. I've been running some HHD exam revision lectures so far this year for ACE, and so you can see 2 sessions here are already done and dusted, but there's 2 more sessions that are running. So if you're wanting to get some exam strategies and advice as well as coverage over the key content and the key skills for this year, there is a date coming up on the 12th of October and a new session has been added on the 27th of October. So if you head to book.acevc.com, you can sign up to either of these sessions. You'll get a set of notes that I've put together, okay, that'll be sent out with free shipping, okay, and I'll be running through obviously these key things here in each of those sessions on those different dates. So as I said, you can head to book.acevc.com for more information and to book into those sessions. If you're on YouTube at the moment, obviously you can subscribe with the button in the bottom corner of the video there for all of our new videos coming out on our YouTube channel. There's over 180 videos already there with lots of exam tips, so make sure you head and check those out if you haven't already. Also got our website, thehrh.net.au, where there's opportunities for teachers and students, and also our social media links and our email if you'd like to get in touch. Okay, thank you so much.